Hello. It's been quite a minute since I've been back on here, so it's been a pretty long break for me. But today marks a really big astrological event. We have a lunar eclipse in Pisces, which also started as a solar eclipse in Virgo. And what's significant about this, eclipses typically represent, I guess, endings to specific things, a time of letting go. You can kind of think about it similar to full moon, but these are a little bit more intense. It's more of an end to a very specific cycle, or you can think of endings as beginnings as well. What's also significant about this one, as I mentioned, it started in Virgo as a solar eclipse and now is ending in Pisces. The last time that this cycle has started, or the last time we've had a cycle like this in those same signs, was back in 2015 to 2017. So what's really interesting about this is to really think back to those times and consider, what were you thinking about then? What were your dreams? What were you working on? It is a very interesting moment to I guess reflect. Can you think back? Because that is about, I'll just say, about 9 years ago, which is kind of interesting to think about. It also marks my 9 years of being here in New York. So, wow, a lot has happened between now and then. So I'm going to take this moment to also give you a moment to, I guess, reflect. Again, we are thinking about this current eclipse cycle ending, and new beginning starting. So back to 2015, 2017, what were you working on? What were you doing? For me, I just moved here to New York. I think I just got my big first job here. I also, at the time, was really into fashion. I had my own store, which kind of online store, which kind of ended shortly after. I don't want to say shortly, a few years after. And it's interesting thinking back to that, because fashion has been always something I've been interested in and haven't necessarily dove back into, for many different reasons that I won't get into right now. But it has been something that I've been thinking about more recently. I did have a Vedic astrology reading a month ago now, and fashion apparently is a very big part of my chart. I'm very into things that bring out beauty, things that look beautiful, and so the astrologer actually mentioned that it is something that I will likely get back into at some point. And it's interesting because thinking back to that time, again, 2015 to 2017, when we had the last eclipse in Pisces, and Virgo and Pisces, I thought a lot about this, and was very heavily, I really put a lot of effort into fashion things, and was really considering still continuing my own business at the time, when things ended with my partner. So pretty cool to reconsider this. But I think other things too, I was just really into learning. I was learning to code at the time, and hello. Thanks. Yeah. It is very interesting. So, I was also learning to code at the time, was really interested in that, but it took me some time to really understand that it wasn't necessarily my thing. It took me way longer, but I do love understanding systems and how to improve systems and processes, and I guess that's kind of where I am now in doing product work, and because I do get to touch upon a lot of that. So, and thank you for joining today. Maybe for once I'll do a card pull for my lucky guest who joined just now. Welcome, Lecre90. It's very nice to have you here today. So one thing I wanted to share that happened this morning. So sorry, it's a little dark in here. My cat is why how is all the family on here right now? My cat is in my window and blocking the light, so it's a little dark in here, unfortunately, but I wanted to share a card that I pulled this morning, and what? And if you can see this card, as in typical fashion, we usually go through every card that we pull here, and additionally the meaning behind the card. So this morning I pulled the 10 of Swords, but in reverse. So if you look at this card, oops, sorry, I'll get in the frame. Look at this card. There's a lot going on here. You can obviously see there are 10 swords in the back of this person lying flat on a beach. It doesn't look like a good positive card. It looks kind of grim, but I'd have to say, with any of the cards in the deck, there's no such thing as a negative card. Kind of see this, 10 is always the end of something, which is very significant given that today is the big eclipse in Pisces, and as I mentioned earlier, eclipses also mark the end of a cycle. So recurring themes, again, back to 2015 to 2017 can be coming up for you right now. It can be reigniting something in a desire that you had. What were you dreaming about then? What did you want for your life? That could really be coming back in this very moment. Life really is interesting in that way because when the universe wants you to move in a certain way, it will eventually push you there. So it was interesting to reflect on this morning of like what I was doing in 2015 to 2017 and what are the things that excited me and what did I really want then? Because, things could change over time. But anyway, back to this card. What's interesting about this card is, again, it is not necessarily a bad card. It just means the end of something. And for swords are power and intellect. For me, I also receive this in reverse. And reverse is usually, I don't want to say it's a reverse of the card, but it could be something inner. It could be looking more inner than outer. For example, I've really read this as the end of having these self-limiting beliefs of where I am and where I want to go. And that was really beautiful because it is like kind of a death of some part of me that isn't serving me anymore. And I kind of see that as a really big significant thing in today, given that it is also the end of a really big cycle. So that is kind of how I wanted to just discuss, and I wanted to hop on here and talk about this card because it is super significant for me today to kind of reflect on that. Would anyone in the chat like for me to do a quick reading for them? Maybe. Everyone. Oh, okay, Sunny. All right, Sunny Delight. I'm curious. Okay, what is your question for I guess the card or the deck? So typically what happens is that you would come into a reading asking for example, it's no yes or no questions. It is more like, what can I focus on today? What messages do you have for me? Just like a very general thing. Something about a specific situation. Maybe you're going through a hard time with your family or your girlfriend or boyfriend or partner. I'm actually not sure whatever your situation can be, but yeah, if you have anything specific that you'd like to ask, that is kind of how I would like to pull the reading. And if you don't mind sharing what that would be really awesome to kind of pull that and ask for you. Also, okay, maybe I'll do two today. I'm actually feeling really lucky. So, Le Cre 90. If you have a question as well, maybe think about that. Okay, Sunny Delight. Will I forever be single? So, this is kind of a yes or no question, but maybe we can kind of gear this towards, let's see. What can I learn about my relationship life? Personal relationships, I guess. What can I learn about in personal relationships? So we can kind of think about, you're thinking about being single forever, but maybe we'll lean in a little more to like just generally understanding what your relationship will be like. So in every tarot reading, just kind of take that question and continue to ask the deck what your relationship life will be like in the future. Let's see. Oops. And cutting the deck. Okay. Okay, so about your question about your relationship life in the future, let's see what we got here. Okay. This is an interesting one. Okay. So, can you see this card? I hope so. So, this card is the Nine of Wands. You can see that this person in this card here is pretty beaten up, has a bandage over his head. It looks like he's been on a pretty long journey. And so a nine, with every, with the minor arcana card, like part of the deck, it starts from 1 to 10. 9 is close to the end of a journey. Or the end of a specific theme, let's just say. The wands themselves technically represent like fire and inspiration, creativity, but as it relates to your relationship life, it seems like you've been kind of going through a pretty hard time, whether that means a lot of changes, having a partner, not having a partner, ending some tumultuous relationship, but it shows that this person, even though they're pretty beaten up, that there is some hope. He's still holding a wand here, showing that he's still standing up. And so to answer your question of where the rest of your, I guess, future relationship life will go, it seems like the hard part, or mostly the hard part, is almost over. And so I do see something very opportunistic coming your way pretty soon, but you just have to hold on and stay positive and continue to put yourself out there. Fire, again, the wands represent, creativity, maybe get a little creative. I don't know how much you indulge in dating apps, but that's kind of dating apps are kind of, I don't want to say it's the only way to meet people now. There's actually way many more ways that people are trying to get creative these days and avoid dating apps. So if there's meetup groups you can join, running groups. I know I've heard recently that people have been joining running groups to meet people because they're sick of dating apps. So maybe this is a sign to, this has been a little challenging for you, but in terms of prospering or yeah, moving forward in your relationship life, it is to get a little creative and do something different. Yeah. So hopefully that was helpful for you. That was the Nine of Wands, but yeah, it sounds like you've had maybe even a pretty challenging, I guess, dating life, but I think that maybe just keeping positive, and it sounds like there will be something really nice coming, just as long as you can hold on. So, all right, cool. All right, Lecre 90. So your question is, will my career path change? So it's a very interesting question. This is also a yes or no question. So I'll help you frame it because, the deck doesn't really like yes or no questions. It isn't here to necessarily predict your future, but also, here to help you reflect on what you want, like what you're asking, or just reflect on your inner self. So maybe the question is more so, what can I expect in my career in the future, or just what can I expect in my career in the next year or two. So I will also now pull these cards out, and so what can Lecre 90 expect in her career, or his career? Sorry, I didn't mean to assume your gender. His or her career. Let's see. Oh, whoa. Okay. This one I think you'd find very interesting. Okay, so we have the Judgment card, but maybe upside down. So in the Judgment card, the Judgment card is a major arcana card. It is a really big life theme. You can see that it looks like, the Archangel Gabriel is holding a trumpet, potentially. That's kind of how I see it. And playing this trumpet as these people who are, kind of coming out of their coffin and rejoicing, almost like, or just embracing this moment. I see this more, and I'll relate it to what you're asking about, but you kind of see this as, when you think of judgment, you think of death and being judged on your last day. Are you going to make it to heaven or hell? Where is the end of the life going? Well, when you think of judgment, also, it's like you're judging yourself to what are the things that you've done right or wrong. So usually this is a card to evaluate the things you've done in your life. It doesn't have to be right or wrong in this sense, but as it relates to your career, maybe just think about the things that brought you joy and things that didn't bring you joy in your current career path, or your current job. So when it's upside down, this could mean that, you're being super, super judgmental on yourself. Maybe you're being a little harsh on yourself on where you are today and what you've been working on, what you're doing, and just trying to get by, but it's been really, really challenging, and you're being just a little too self-critical about yourself in the work, and maybe not being as, let's just say, compassionate with what you've been dealt in this life and where you are currently. The good news is that it's a time to really reflect on that and, as I mentioned, kind of just see if you can take some time to evaluate the things that you've been working on, not just in a resume format, but the things that brought you joy in your job versus the things that didn't. I think that will be actually very, very helpful in determining, if your career path is going to take a new leap because honestly, you can do anything that you put your mind to. I truly, truly believe in that. So if you can take the time to really just think about these things, I think that, it may open up something new for you. And it sounds like you could totally use your current skills in a different environment. It just is a means of understanding, like, could you do the current comfortable job forever? It's the same industry or thing that you've been doing for a long time, but maybe, yeah, just taking a step back from the day to day, taking some time for yourself, and really just thinking about what you truly want, but also aligning it with, the things that bring you joy. I think that it might be a turning point in your life. So, I hope that was helpful. I'm happy to do another reading if you guys join again next week. This was actually the second time that I did a reading for someone else. Usually I kind of just go over different resources and stuff. And honestly, truthfully, I had to get on today because I have to test something for work. So I'm glad that you guys were here to support and come because I needed actual viewers to test the things that test the things for my job. So it was the perfect timing, and I would say divine timing. So Sunny Delight. Well, the interesting thing, and I'll leave you with this. The purpose of tarot cards is actually, there are some cards that we gravitate to more. The purpose, it's broken up from the major arcana and the minor arcana for specific reasons. But the biggest thing is, like, each of these cards are relatable to each and every one of us, just similar to how astrology can be relatable to one of us. But again, astrology, if you're a specific sign, there are certain qualities and things you may gravitate towards more, but everyone has pretty much everything in their chart. For me, as to why, my Twitch handle is High Priestess, I really resonate to the High Priestess a lot. And she actually came up for me many times in different readings. So, but I have to say that, what you pull is really just based on the intention at the moment. It doesn't necessarily mean anything, but you can also always pull another card if you want to continue to ask questions. So there are ways to dive a little deeper, but I know what you mean. I resonate, and there are certain cards sometimes that aren't totally clear in resonation when they're first pulled either. So anyway, just wanted to leave you with that, but I would love to do more readings for you guys, so definitely come back. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And yeah, I will speak to you soon.